Ishvara Tattva. When that Ishvara becomes creator, he is called Brahma. When he manages this entire universe, he is called Vishnu. And when he recycles this universe, I keep saying that, I don't like the word destruction. We have a very destructive concept of word destruction. एकदम तोड़ मोड़ के तहस नहस करना. No, I don't mean that. He recycles it, because matter and energy can neither be created nor can be destroyed. It can only be recycled. So that Paramatma recycles it, and he is called Shiva. There is a identification with the causal totality of the causal state. But Paramatma himself is beyond any such cause. Ashariram linga sharira varjitah ityartah. Avranam akshatam, that which does not get destroyed. Destruction can happen by one of these 5 elements, or the combination of these 5 elements. The amazing aspect is, the earlier 4 elements cannot destroy or taint even the space. Air can be pure or impure. The purity or impurity of the air does not affect the space. So when you enter into some place and it stinks, it is not that the space is stinking, it is the air in that space is stinking. Space is untouched by either the fragrance or the absence of fragrance. Fire, with its quality of burning and glowing, does not illumine the space nor darken the space. Space is that which provides room for both illumination and darkness. Can we wet the space? No. It can rain in that space and it can dry up in that space. The dryness or the wetness does not touch the space. So when the earlier 4 elements cannot taint or corrupt the space itself, one of the grossified elements, subtler than all these, Paramatma, can these Panchamahabhutas destroy that Paramatma? Or the modification of these Panchamahabhutas, can we destroy that Paramatma, the substratum? Hence, therefore, Akshatam, indestructible. Avranam asnaviragam stula sharira pratishedaha ityartaha. See, that which does not have parts or is formed with various parts put together, he is devoid of any such agencies. So what does it mean? It means to say that Paramatma is not any physical form. Kavihi, the meaning is Krantadarshi. What does Krantadarshi mean? Somebody who has the capacity to see everything. The one who is the drashta of everything. The one who is so high viewing everything, nothing else can view that Paramatma. There is nobody else that is viewing that Paramatma. Krantadarshi. So in our practical day-to-day life, we can say that the satellites up there watching us down, you can call that satellite as, again with a reference to context, as a Krantadarshi. that which is seeing us all, but we cannot see that. But in true sense, it is only Paramatma who can see everything, and that Paramatma cannot be seen through these mediations of organs of perception or action. Kavihi. That is why even we call the poets as Kavi. That which cannot be seen by us, he perceives it and puts it in such a beautiful form that it wows us. Hence, therefore, he is called Kavi. Today's poets are so pathetic. You read their lyrics, you don't even feel like reacting to it. मैं लड़का तू लड़की, what big deal, आगे बढ़ो. तू राजा मैं रानी, ये लिरिक्स है. To state something which is obvious is not a Kavi. You have to see that which cannot be perceived, and through your perception make others see what they cannot perceive. That is why they are called Kavi. Okay, the next word, because we are not here to criticize the poets. Manishi. Manasaha Ishita Sarvagnya Ishvaraha Ityarthaha. The one who supports, sustains even that internal equipment and its capacity to conceptualize. So, what does he want to say here? Paramatma is somebody who is not a concept in our understanding. So, the moment we say that I have understood what Paramatma is, we have lost him right there. Because understanding happens in the intellect, and intellect is a very limited mechanism or an instrument which cannot perceive Paramatma. Paramatma supports conceptualization, but he is beyond becoming a concept in our head. Very strange. Did you understand this? That is why Kenopanishad says very beautifully, Manye tad viditam. If you think that you know it, you have not understood it. If you say that you cannot understand it, you are not worth understanding it. Oh, this is very difficult now. So, what is it? Those who have experienced it are in silence. Mauna vyakhya prakatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam varshishthante vasadrishi ganaihi avrutam brahmanishtai. So, those who experience it are in silence. And you want them to express that supreme reality of experience through the limited words which the mind and intellect cannot conceive. See, look at the difficulty. Mind and intellect cannot conceive it, and the words are limited to express it. So, what do? Pure silence. See, what to talk of Paramatma? The earlier stated gulab jamun is really good, and you put it in your mouth. It's really awesome in taste. Let me make it clear. It is not because I like that I am taking it as an example. It is only an example, purely an example. The earlier place I took this example, the next day they had gulab jamun, 3 dabbas. I said, oh, had kar diya. That is why I am making a disclaimer here. So, when you put that gulab jamun in your mouth, and it's really tasty, and someone asks you, how is it? to describe a material indulgence and the joy gained out of it. We don't have words. If this was good, what is this? Too good. And when somebody is pestering you, tell me how it is. The best thing that you can do is open your mouth, experience one to know it. Because even that material indulgence cannot be interpreted in words. Do you think that Paramatma experience can be interpreted in words? Kavir Manishihi Paribhuhu Swayambhuhu. Paribhuhu, that which exists beyond all happenings. Paramatma is not a happening that you have to wait for, which indicates that Paramatma or the experience of Paramatma is not through a certain effort put, and then at the end of that effort you will find Paramatma. He is not a result of action. He is beyond being a result. That is why what do? We are recognizing. We have forgotten what our state is, so we are recognizing our own true nature which already existed. So what about all these sadhana? Will come. There are 6 mantras only for that, to get us beyond that confusion of karma and jnana. Paribhuhu Swayambhuhu. Swayambhu, that which exists, always, eternal, is Anadi and Ananta. Does not have a beginning nor has an end. Whereas Prakriti is Anadi. This entire world is Prakriti. Prakriti is Anadi too. But it is not Ananta. The moment you realize your own true nature, you have transcended Prakriti. Prakriti falls short. The Prakriti is not eternal. It does not have a beginning. But since it can be transcended, it is Antavatta. In Bhagavad Gita again, Bhagavan Krishna says that they are all Prakriti and the effects of it. Antavattu. They are all bound in time. Only Paramatma is both Anadi and Ananta, because he is the only truth that ever exists. Swayambhuhu. Yatha tarthyatothan vyadadhat shashvatibhyas samabhyah. According to different actions that we perform, depending on the intentions behind those actions and the intensity with which we perform those actions, the results, and when we will have those results, those natural laws are already laid out. If we understand it and work accordingly. When they say that everything is in his hands, do not misunderstand that he is the puppeteer who is trying to micromanage everyone's life. He has better things to do rather than snooping around our lives. He has given the field, he has given the intelligence, he has given the natural laws. How you work your way towards your own self is a choice that you can make. So your immediate next question, why did he create it like this? Who can answer it? only He can answer it. When you find Him, ask Him. See, why did a director direct a movie like this? Who can answer it? We can only interpret. Only the director can say why he did it. And if the director is somebody who has a taste for modern art, he'll say, go figure. You know, all these modern artists, they do all this. People come there and stare at it and they say, wow. Somebody said, it is left to your interpretation. So if Paramatma turns out to be that way, a modern artist, then you are at a loss. But then there is no catch here. Who is that Paramatma? Your own self. The moment you cognize that it is your own self, that question drops. So don't ask why it started or when it started. Understand that you are already in it, get out of it. It's worthless to waste our time and energies to find when it started or how it started or why it started. Whenever, however it started, you are already in it. Neck deep. Try to find a method to get out of it. Then at leisure you may think about it. Then you will not find a necessary valid reason to find it. That is a very beautiful meditative shloka on Paramatma. But then when we were talking about the last few words describing that undescribable, we said He is not a result of action, but He is the one who has decided all the natural laws. So there is an eternal discussion as to whether life is worthy enough to be lived in the field of action or in the field of meditation. How do we live? What is it called a fulfilled life? Is it a world of action or a world of meditation? Because Paramatma is not the result of action. So why should I perform action? If my focus is only on meditation, I do not know how to interact with the world. Then instead of reaching Paramatma, maybe with the layers of vasanas I am creating with such strong layers again, that maybe I am pushed far away from that Paramatma. So the Upanishad takes a new thought so that we can transcend, we can go beyond the confusions of karma and jnana or bhakti and jnana. So there are these 6 set of shlokas. The causal body, since it will be taking us away from the topic, I will just give it to you in one line. This is the physical aspect which is called the gross body. The mind, intellect and the organs of perception, their functionality, that constitute subtle body, software. For them to act in one particular pattern or direction, though everyone has the same set of eyes, ears, nose, organs of perception, action, why do we behave, why do we respond, why do we react to different situations in a different manner? It is because of our layers of tendencies. The tendencies lead to actions, actions reaffirm our tendencies. They are mutually feeding each other. So, a technical question that comes about in all the study groups is when you go to the initial birth, the first birth, whether it was karma or whether it was vasana. Eternal question this is. It is neither. The cause for both these patterns, tendencies and the actions to exist is ignorance of our own true nature. That ignorance with the tendencies and the associated karma patterns is called causal body. To find further details, you can visit www.cmdfw.org, find classes on Tattva Bodha where it clearly states causal body, discussion on causal body. Listen to it, you will get further details. I had to use the opportunity to advertise it also. So, repeat the 9th mantra. Andhatamah pravishanti, andhantamah pravishanti, ye vidyamupasate, tato bhuya ivate tamaha, yavu vidyayagam rataha. As I said, that is what vidyayam rataha. So, here it appears, as I said, that the scriptures use the word or the vocabulary of mutually contradicting terms, and there is a very valid reason. When you oversimplify something, the intellect has a definite pattern of taking things for granted. It is like the intellect would say, oh, I know it anyway. So, the masters have this beautiful capacity to put those concepts in such a way that it appears contradicting. And the moment intellect sees that contradiction, it gets thrown off. And because it gets thrown off its balance, comfort zone, it becomes alert. So, let me tell you what this word meaning of this mantra means. Your intellect will become alert by itself. Ye avidyam upasate, those who involve or indulge in the path of avidya, they go into the world which is dark. Right? Those who follow avidya go into darkness. Those who follow vidya go into even more darkness. Come again? Because we are trying to expect that, one concept says that you follow avidya, you go into darkness. So, you follow vidya, you have to go into brightness. But here he says you go into further darkness, deeper darkness. The intellect is like, what exactly does he want to say? Here, for these set of 6 mantras, I will opt out of the Shankara Bhashya because he goes too much into the Karma Kanda. That Karma Kanda which we for ages have not performed. Because in order to establish the meaning of that Karma Kanda and Karma Siddhanta, I would need another 5 days to introduce that topic. So, we will cut through that so that we understand the essence of these few mantras here. So, here he is trying to say that the simple meaning, the simplest meaning is those who follow the path of karma get entangled in darkness. Very easy to understand. Because we go out there into the world with these actions, anticipating happiness, not getting that happiness, we get frustrated, we repeat a different kind of action and it still brings back the same result. So, we are constantly changing different permutations. We do not pause to analyze it. So, we are caught up in that vicious cycle of karma and the likes and dislikes which come out as tendencies. Very easy to understand that. When you follow karma, karma leads to darkness. Very easy to understand. Whereas on the other hand, here vidya means the path of upasana, the path of meditation. Because it seems like for many of us that it is the easiest path that can be put into practice. If you have to do lot of study, lot of scriptures, lot of things that processing, I need the process which will take me beyond all this. And there are enough there out in the market who can sell that also. Not just that we are stupid, but we are eagerly stupid. That anybody who sells in the market meditation, we go fall for it. And they promise immediate, instant results. So, you can understand who is bluffing. Those who promise instant realization are taking you for a ride. So, without being qualified for the path of meditation, when we sit in meditation, what happens? We are caught up in such a catastrophic situation that we neither can give up that path nor can proceed in that path. We are eternally kind of stuck. So, we have to be qualified to get there. See, who is greater? Somebody studying first grade or somebody studying 10th grade? Who is greater? Good, I had enough responses. The best response is the question itself is wrong. First grader for his worth, 10th grader for his worth. Comparing itself is wrong, but to compare two unequals, first grader if compared to another first grader, you could give a result. A 10th grader, if you compare it to another 10th grader, you could tell the result. But if you compare a first grader with a 10th grader, it is not a comparison itself. If you have to reach to the 10th grade, you have to go through your kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, finally reach your 10th grade. As are many Indian parents very eager to see their sons and daughters as either doctors or engineers. However enthusiastic you may be, you cannot take your 4-year-old and put him in a medical school. You may want them to become, but you cannot take them. Because to reach there, they have to go through various qualifiers. The day-to-day examples understood. Similarly, instead of working in the field of karma, getting caught up in the vicious cycle again and again and again, use that karma to unbind oneself. Like the Nyaya Shastra says, Kantakena Kantakam Iva. You remove a thorn with another thorn. And then do what? Don't put them in your pocket. Throw them both away. Kantakam Kantakena Iva. If something has gone in, you will remove it away and throw both away. Similarly, path of action, though it is vicious cycle, once you understand the functioning of this path of action, you get a better grip. Instead of getting used by it, you can use it to transcend the vicious cycle. Without this understanding, when we jump into action, first of all, we shouldn't jump into action without understanding. Most of us पहले करते हैं बाद में सोचते हैं. That should not be the case. You should have enough understanding before we jump into an action. But not just jump into action with understanding that particular action, but understand the entire cycle or pattern of actions in general, so that we use it to our benefit rather than getting caught up in those cycles of action and results. So many people think that I am working for my family, I am a karma yogi. Whether it is in office or whether it is at the home front. Fulfilling responsibilities does not make us a karma yogi. It can make us a karmi, a doer, but it cannot make us a karma yogi. When does it become a karma yoga? I have given this equation earlier in different lectures, a simple equation to understand. You may want to understand it. Karta plus karya equals karma. Karta plus karya equals karma. Doer plus the act gives rise to action. What does Karma Yoga say? From the action, remove the doer. You understand maths, right? 3 plus 2 equals? You want a calculator? Okay, 5. 5 minus what equals 2? 3. Simple, right? Similarly, what does the Vedanta say? Vedanta says that remove the doer from the action. What do we interpret in our head? We interpret that remove the action. You cannot remove the action, but you can only remove the actor, the doer. So, karya plus karta equals karma. From karma, you have to remove karta. So, what remains? Karya should remain. Does it make sense? Doer plus the act equals karma, action. From the action, when you take out the doer, what remains is the act itself. Such actions wherein the doership is removed, where the act, the kriya alone remains, that is called selfless act. wherein there are no tags of individuality, individual or the ego. I mean, is it in our day-to-day life, is it possible? We are not sannyasis. What gives you a guarantee that even though you are changing the color of your clothes, what is important here is not the ashrama that you are in, whether you are a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi. It is applicable to everybody across the board. One example that I often repeat is, you have gone to pick your child from the school. You are waiting near your car. And as the kids run out of the school to get their mom or dad or their cars, one kid running trips and falls. What do you do when you are the first person, closest person to that kid who fell down? Look at that face and recognize that it is not your kid, and then okay, fine, leave it. Because according to our belief, it is not practical to apply action without doership. Here is the example. When you find that kid falls, you instantly, out of your humanitarian grounds, you run up to the kid, pick that kid up, dust him off, see that the kid is secured. You have acted, but there is no actor involved. You did not do it because of certain agenda. There was no hidden agenda there. But after the act is performed, the doership wants credit and looks around, goes around sharing this story. Today, you know, if I were not there, that kid would have rolled onto the street under the car. It was because of me that kid got a life. And then when everybody taps your back and then gives you little TLC, tender love and concern, if ego feels gratified. At that moment when you are performing the act, neither there was a doer nor there was an enjoyer. There was just a pure act. The only criteria here is, if we are conscious enough, living a conscious enough life, so that every moment of our expression or interaction with the world is just the act performed and not the actor and the enjoyer involved, then it becomes karma yoga. This is the first step. The second step is, when you perform this and dedicate it to the highest altar, not to the altar of family, not to the altar of kids, not to the altar of a society or a nation, the highest altar being God. Sarvam Narayanarpanamastu. Then it becomes karma yoga. You are anyway performing your responsibilities and you cannot get rid of them. You cannot avoid them, you cannot run away because it is inevitability. Remember, I shared three definitions: responsibilities, duties, obligations. Responsibility is something that it is inevitable. You have to anyway perform them intelligently. Not knowing how to perform them, not knowing how the system of action works, when we jump into the field of actions, andham tamah pravishati, it takes us to darkness. Until we have cleaned our hearts to an extent wherein our mind and intellect are steady, deep, sharp and focused, if we enter into the path of meditation, what will it give us back? I am not kidding. There was a person who came to me and said, Swamiji, I gave up meditation. Why? It gave me cervical spondylitis. I was like really shocked. Oh, how can meditation give you cervical spondylitis? So it clicked, it dawned on me. I said, can you show me how you would sit in the seat of meditation? And complete rapt attention. I said, show. So he put that, asana, Padmasana, and then now when you are sitting in such a uncomfortable posture, it will lead to, definitely you are better off without doing that meditation. And when the mind is not controlled, when it is not focused and you are trying to put it in meditation, it should be available to be put in meditation. So the unqualified, when they sit, they either come out more frustrated or refreshed out of a sleep. And that neither of them are called meditation. Frustrated, why? You start suddenly become conscious of your mind and its patterns. Those dirty patterns that were running in your mind which you were never conscious of, suddenly you become conscious, they come under spotlight. You get so scared, you get so disgusted, and you blame the path of meditation for that. So I have started meditating and I see that my mind is getting more disturbed. It is not that your mind is getting disturbed, it is only that your mind you have now started becoming conscious of the existing pattern of disturbances and stink. Meditation has not created it. And the final thing, those unqualified, when they get into meditation, what happens? Their mind is not focused. And this is where I think many of us fail to understand this path. They said, if I have to gain concentration and focus, you ask any Indian, what do you have to do? You have to meditate. See, if you have to glide, you have to build momentum before you take off. Fair enough? Scientific enough? If somebody says that I will first take off and then build momentum, is it even possible? Yes or no? Similarly, in the path of self-unfoldment, what is required? Tatra ekagram manah kritva nakinchidapi chintayet. First you need to gather that focused mind, concentrated mind, and then leap into meditation. Meditation is not going to give you focus, but rather you have to get into meditation with a focused mind. Our whole understanding of meditation is topsy-turvy. And then we come back frustrated, tried that, Swami, it doesn't work. You have been using a medicine which that disease doesn't deserve, and you say that the medicine doesn't work. Do you have to blame the medicine or the person who is taking that medicine, or the person prescribing that medicine? Do you get the concept? So either you come out of that meditation frustrated or slept through. That is why it is said, Tato bhuya yivate tamaha. You go into further darkness because it doesn't seem to yield any result. So how is this to be understood? So the next mantra says, Anya devahur vidyayat. Anya devahura vidyayat yadahura vidyaya. इति शुश्रुमधीराणाम् येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे Vichachakshire, those who have firm knowledge and experience in this field, this is what they have claimed as their experience, certifying what the Shrutis have said. See, that is the beauty in our Sanatana Dharma. We don't have to accept things because a prophet or somebody has given out a statement. We are having complete right and authority to test that path out. And once tested out and assured that the path is a valid path, the rest of the generations take it on that belief of that Guru's experience that this is a valid path. Meaning even today, if we find that benefit of doubt not in our heart, evaluate it. Evaluate it till that day when you can trust it. Don't need to apply it just because the scriptures have said or the Mahatma has said. Find if they are logical, find if there are loopholes in that logic and nail it down. And once you have confirmed to yourself that there are no loopholes, and you have tried it out, you have seen others try it out. So that is what this Guru also, this Rishi also is trying to say, that it is not just me saying it, I have seen other experienced also state the same thing. What is it? Anyat eva ahuhu vidyat yat ahuhu avidyat. The result of the path of action and the path of meditation are two different, but they have not to be understood as contradicting each other or cancelling each other, or they are not to be applied as in one instead of the other, but they have to be seen as a sequential order of growth in a spiritual evolution. Use the path of action so that we unfold ourselves from the patterns of vasana, gain that balance and equipoiseness of mind. So how do I know that whether I am qualified for meditation? At the level of mind and at the level of intellect, if we have these four qualifiers. If the mind is quiet, alert, alertly quiet. Like somebody introduced me her older son. I had gone to their house for Bhiksha late, around 9:30 or something. Like, this is my older son Swamiji. He is the cutest when he is asleep. So if somebody has to talk about the mind and it is quiet when asleep. No, I am not talking about the sleepy stage. Quiet mind when it is alert, awake. It is alert and it is having stillness. It is alert and it is still. Meaning it is available, provided you give it a field to act, it acts and comes back. That kind of control or balance on mind. That if it doesn't have any field, it will stay there without feeling restless. That is the qualifier for mind. I thought you gain that after meditation. No, that is a requirement for meditation. And the intellect is subtle and sharp. That any movement of this kartrutva, bhoktrutva and the instability of mind, it cognizes it immediately and straightens it out. Alertness, stillness sharpness and subtlety, if these have been acquired, and then you step into the field of meditation, you will see that the results unfold. Not that the Atma Vidya is a result, don't get me wrong here. I have only limited words to use. So, when the mind and intellect withdraw into that Atma, that gives you the experience of Supreme, that which is already existing. But on one hand, we perform the action clueless. On the other action, we are struggling to do sadhana and still find no change. It is because the order of doing things is born out of confusion. Straighten that out and you will find the results. This is what Dhiranam, those great masters, have given as a message to the later generation of disciples, us all. Sleep on this thought, because the next 4 mantras also kind of repeat the same thought. The only difference being the next set of shlokas or next set of mantras, they take into the discussion of karma versus jnana, or bhakti versus jnana. Some feel that there is the path of saguna sakara is the best path, bhakti, and some say nirguna nirakara is the best path. Which is the best path? I think the same question even Arjuna asked. The starting of bhakti yoga, he says, which is the best one? Because like today's mentality, even Arjuna had the same mindset. Because he wanted to take that path which is the best of the best. If you have top 10 Google search, you don't want to go for the 10th one, you want to go for the first one. And Arjuna wanted to do that search. So there was this huge argument between people who had nirguna nirakara and saguna sakara in a temple. So they said, tomorrow we will finally decide whether nirguna nirakara is great or saguna sakara is great. Come with your arguments. So this nirguna nirakara people came in. Saguna sakara people did not turn up. So they turned to the priest who was in that temple. They said, your saguna sakara people have not come, they got scared and other things. They started pestering him. So in his utter ignorance, he said something beautiful. He said, I don't know what you guys are arguing about. Let us do my way of testing. It was a Shivalaya. He said, my saguna sakara, I will throw it on your head. Your nirguna nirakara, throw it on my head. Whoever survives is the winner. That would be a blunt way of deciding things. There is a better way of understanding, which the Upanishad will let us know. That we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.